Hello, hello.
Hi man, how
How
you
you
doing?
doing? Yeah, doing good. How about you?
Yeah, good, good. Sorry I missed this meeting for a long time.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Yeah, we'll see who hops in. Usually it's Denise and Luke, but I missed last week because I was really deep in some code and didn't pay attention to time, unfortunately. So, um, but
Yeah, it happens.
yeah, I was like super. Oh, wait.
Hello.
Uh, Hello,
Hello.
David. Um, So I'm gonna ask you to drive. Well, I can drive under, but I'm gonna show you why it might be a little bit um annoying for you all. Well, actually, let me see if you guys can see this first. All right, Firefox. Firefox. All right. Do you guys see this weird icon over here? Or no? Or is it good? Test, test, test. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't see any weird icon.
Okay. There's all right. There's have a like a weird West bug now, and there's this gigantic icon that's just right here. I'm just like, why is that there? But okay, as long as you all can't see it, I think we're good. So, all right. Let me put us in right here. February 17th. Because we have quite a bit to talk about. So please sign in. I'll put the link in here in chat. All right. And agenda, do this. So, oh, real quick, do we have to do? I saw that we had the PR for version and spec version. I actually noticed that when I was trying to build the Java SDK, like I was like, oh, that schema is not right. Um, so I think there's two things that we can do for that. So we need to do another release. Is that right, Andrea?
Yes, so we need
Okay,
a 051 patch release.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do that then. I want you to shadow me now just in case I do something wrong, but I think I have a pretty good understanding how the release should work. And then secondly, one of the things that I started doing, which I'll show you the PR, because I think this is really important. So I've been wanting to do this for a very long time. And I think this is like the right approach. So just so you're aware, CD events, right, has a lot of concepts, especially across tools. And the whole goal is like interoperability, auditability, observability, and metrics and the whole works, right? So the main problem is though, is when you start aggregating all this from tools, and they have different notions of like what something might mean, it becomes very hard to make the metrics mean something, make it, makes it harder to measure because, there's a different, different semantics there. And that makes it very hard for interoperability, right? If a pipeline run, for example, means something completely different for another system, it becomes very, very hard to reason about.
It's backwards. You're doing it back. It sounds backwards because we're the ones who standardize what pipeline runs means. And then if pipeline run just means an orchestration, starting or stopping, then, that's literally what it is. So when
Yes,
you say
yes.
that, okay, so
That
what are you saying that, why does that sound different?
Oh, no, what I was getting that's I'm talking about the issue right now with the current definitions. So right now the current definitions are vague and ambiguous. So it allows for other tools to kind of interpret the meaning, right? Because they're not opinionated enough. So the idea is rather than coming up with definitions that sit separate from the spec, I have this def folder that lives within the schema, and
Mhm.
the schemas are going to point to the actual definition. So it packages them
Oh,
all
okay.
up together.
Okay.
That way it becomes very concrete on what the thing. So sorry, I was just giving people context to DC
I
because
know.
we've
I
talked about
apologize. I
yeah.
apologize. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Go
no worries, no worries. Um, so this gives us two main benefits. I want to kind of go over to why I did it this way. First, when people are downloading the schemas, they're not really looking at documentation. I mean, that's just the how engineers work. Like they only go to documentation if if they're those type of engineers, but a lot of times now they're going to straight to AI, right? So we need to bundle things as close to the definition or to the schemas as possible to make it very clear on what the thing is without having people to go too far. Otherwise, they're not going to see it.
No, that
This,
could be brilliant. That sounds brilliant because that is literally Alan Schimmel, who runs
Mhm.
DevOps.com, wrote an article that I am like planning to respond to that is about this exact same issue. That AI that people using open source don't go to the documentation anymore. That AI is what they use to consume it. So structuring this in a way that it's AI consumable and it has meaning
Yep,
because
yep,
it's connected to the it's no, that's a great move. Um, that's a oh my God, that even helps for my response. Like we just have to think about how we communicate this information in a way that's better for AI to consume so that
yep,
it
yep.
can be more useful. No, I think this is a great idea, Ben. Great idea.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, and like I said, like we having it close there is like another big benefit. But the also bundling it with the schemas now gives an implied version to the definition, right? So if we ever need to change a definition, let's say like we need to add like sort of contingency to it or something that needs a little bit more refining, we can absolutely do it in another version, of the
Yeah.
schema too. So that makes it also pretty powerful.
Yeah, no, definitely version the schema. I mean, version the definitions, absolutely, because it is basically an encyclopedia reference at that point,
Yep,
right?
yep.
And so if it gets updated, and guys, sorry if I'm like hijacking. I feel like I just walked in and started hijacking the meeting. Apologies. Great to see you, David. Great to see you, Victor. Andrea, you my dog. Okay, let's keep moving. But yeah, no, this is a great idea. Um, that's all I got to say, dude. It's a great idea.
Okay,
Anybody,
awesome. Yeah.
anybody
So,
have a
like I
problem with
said,
that?
please, was that?
I was asking the rest of the guys, do they have a problem with that? I mean, I really like the idea, but that's just me.
No, I think it's great. This will help. I mean, we can then generate better documentation for
Yep, yep.
whoever wants to actually read documents. But yeah, no, I mean, this is the first drop. It's a lot of work, but
Yeah,
thanks
yeah.
for getting this started.
Yeah, and like I said, like my goal is to like knock out like one or two of these every week is my hope, maybe more, but I'm going to try to do one or two. But because I didn't want to just do all of them all at once, because if there's any sort of issues with one definition, that's more iterations on the whole process, or on the whole PR. So I think just getting the definition, like a small chunk of the definitions right, is the way to go. So please take a look. I defined basically two subjects, which is artifact and pipeline run. Then I added a predicate to started, which so like any sort of word that we have in any sort of the events will now live here. And whether it's a predicate or a subject. And if it isn't a predicate or a subject, we can also include it here and link it from the schemas themselves, right? So I'll show you what that looks like in the schemas. I added this field. So this looks like to be the JSON um, schema notation for like metadata that is specific to, a organization or a project. So I just added semantics here. So subject, predicate, and then we can add like other something of that nature. So it's very, very clean. Doesn't duplicate. It's pretty straightforward. So yeah, I'll add this link. So please take a look when you all get a chance. Um, I'll call this semantics.
Yeah, I did review it. It looks good. I mean, so far I think it looks great. Um, there's just a CI job that needs some linter that needs to
Yeah, a
be
little bit of
fixed.
work. Yeah.
But once that's fixed, I mean, it's okay for me to go
Okay,
ahead.
awesome. And then yeah, and then the other PR that I had, I know I'm kind of going into the PR tangent world right now, is on links. So I wanted to relax some of the links. Mostly I actually just fixed a couple things as well. Just like, type object is up here now, just keep things consistent. But the biggest thing that I did was I added this domain ID. And the reason for that, so generally when we envisioned or when I envisioned the links working, it would be this kind of like this publisher would submit something or send an event, it would consume an event, send an event, and they would just bounce back and forth between those two states. And that would allow you to kind of connect things as you see fit. But the main problem is when I was talking with people, especially like I was talking with a little bit with Luke, Argo, and then also like internally, I realized that a lot of people might not do consuming to do an action, right? They might just like send an API to do, which is the correct thing, right? They send an API to start a pipeline. They send they use an API to run something specifically, and you might not have the context ID, right? So if you don't have the context ID, one thing that we can optionally provide is something called a domain ID. So a domain ID is some system's identifier. So this might be like, a GitHub PR number, right? Like it'd be like, and it'd be like it's an earn format, is what I'm thinking, but it could be technically anything that you whatever you want it to technically be. But right now it's going to be just defined as a string until we figure out like a good way to like model it. But I'm thinking long term we probably want to make this an earn. But the
Before you
idea.
add that, I don't understand what it is.
Oh, so yeah, so the domain ID would be like, so here's a good example, right? So GitHub, right now, you can have CI, right? Like run a job. Let's say like you have GitHub Actions or Circle CI running a CI build off a PR.
Mhm.
When it does that, it doesn't have the context ID, right? It has no notion of a context ID. It's just sending that as an API. So when it sends that
What's
as
the
an,
context ID?
was that?
Is that the parent ID is that the global ID that identifies the whole workflow, or what do
Oh
you,
no, context ID is the context, like that context section in the schema. So if we go to the schema,
right?
and it's the ID under context. So yeah. So if we go here, it's literally this ID right here under context. So context
Okay.
ID.
Okay. All right.
So
All right. Cool. Cool.
So it just, that is a unique identifier for the event, right? But when you don't have that, let's say like you're in a system that is, that doesn't doesn't do actions based off of CD events, you might want to still persist the
So what would you be linking
relationships.
it to?
You'd be linking it to the domain ID. So a good
No,
example,
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if it's not in the system using CD events, why would you be using the link service?
no, no, no. It is a part of it, but it's just not consuming events to do anything. It's only sending events to do stuff or you know for other people to consume. So
Okay,
like
so the concept is a closed system. So if you are initiating something from within a closed system, right, you can always go back to the point of authority to say, hey, I'm running XYZ pipeline, give me my ID.
yes, you can, and it is definitely inferred, right? But the whole point though was to make it so that publishers could still send some sort of relationship information to whatever it may be, the event bus or whatever. And these aren't mutually exclusive either. Like you can provide both. But it just gives, if you want to have like to say, oh, this, even though there's this context ID, it's this like PR for this PR number, like GitHub / 12345 as a pull request, right? So it just allows you to link things from a domain aspect as opposed to a CD event aspect, right? So especially
Uh,
like if you're linking to another system that doesn't send CD events, right?
right,
You
but
still might want to capture that it's still connected somehow, right?
Yeah, still don't see how it fits what the use case was for the link system. Can we talk about this online so I can get a deeper understanding? I don't want to burn up the meeting with this.
Oh yeah. No worries, no. And what I will do is I'll flesh this out a little bit more,
Okay,
to kind of maybe give some examples on how I see this working,
okay.
and the use cases, and yeah. So I'll go ahead and do that. But this is the other PR that needs some reviews.
I have a comment on this topic because it's one on which I work also.
Okay,
Um, two comments
on
uh,
this.
on this, yes,
Okay.
because he highlight two point. The first is related to an issue that I previously raised about ID, where we often say in some place we have ID and source, and on some other place we don't have source. And I open a ticket
Oh
to
yeah.
fully remove source, and it's exactly the illustration. In this case, you mentioned context ID, but context ID is unique inside a source. It's not a global ID. So you could have conflict. The same for domain ID. It's why I say we should completely remove source. In fact, it's or say
Uh,
ID is a global ID. Else you could have some conflict between some IDs. So
Yeah. Well, that's if you expect them to cover the same thing, right? Like they can still intersect with each other. They just need to be unique within their own domains, right? So I think that's still fine. Unless you have a particular use case that you're trying to address, David.
about uniqueness of ID, yes, it's explained in the other case, but it will be highlighted by the second point. Uh, today, we don't have systems that use, as you mentioned, CDEvents as input. So and no system that is generate CDEvents as output. So we are not able to have a context ID or the chain ID. If I remember, we have the notion of chain ID in links
Mhm.
to correlate input and output, like we have in distributed OpenTelemetry, distributed tracing. And having it in distributed tracing, it's a pain because we have to instrument internally the
Yeah.
system. So today, the workaround I used is to use other field. I mean, I will use artifact ID, I will use environment ID, and maybe several of them. So it's why also I'm looking at if I, as you mentioned, will I will use link and maybe the tag in link or use a section in custom data to add complementary information that will allow to create the correlation between two events.
Yeah,
Today,
and oh sorry, go
I'm
ahead,
able
David.
to just to create correlation between artifact and services because services mention artifact ID. And I have some kind of rules. It's not identical because in a service, the artifact the version is not exactly the same that in in an artifact ID due to how package URL is made. But I will have to do the same for testing. I'm currently working on how to correlate test. So I need for a test to have maybe the artifact, maybe the project,
Mhm.
maybe the environment where the test. So what is the system? And with those additional information, we are able not to create a single line, but maybe a graph of
Yeah.
connection between information. So having just domain ID, it's maybe too, it could be too restrictive. I was not sure how you mentioned it was one of my questions. I didn't
No,
understand.
no. Domain ID would actually solve your problem, David. Because you can have multiple links and they would all just use the domain ID basically, to show some sort of relationship.
If you
Especially with
can
like artifact,
add
like
a
example. Yeah,
sample, yes, an
yeah.
example as part of the comment, just to illustrate it will. I think it could clarify
Yeah.
your idea.
Okay. Yeah. I will go ahead and do that. And Andre, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I guess the fact that you can have multiple links kind of address some of the what I was going to ask.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, and also what David mentioned. I mean, that's basically the replacement for what we used to do to basically use data within the events to connect them with each other.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
just in a more formal way. But I think, yeah, it would be good to add some more context to the
Yeah.
PR.
And I think you really highlighted it, Andre, because like David said, like using custom data, actually consider a lot of custom data to be an anti-pattern because especially when you do relationships, because if I'm a consumer, I have to infer causality based on the event that's coming in, which might be different for another tool, right? Link standardizes that, right? So that's the whole point of it. So it allows for easy querying of systems. So I really want to highlight that because, you could solve this all with custom data, but again, now you have to really understand as a consumer how the relationships based off the field, right? That context per field. So yeah, but I will give some examples, David, but that should cover your use case perfectly. Yeah, and yeah, David?
Yes, when I mention, I say I'm looking using custom data or maybe using tags because
Mhm.
with links we have also the notion of tags, but it was
Yeah.
not fully clear because with tags I can identify the nature of the element.
Yep,
By
yep.
example, teams, the name of the teams, project, the name of the project, etc. Having
Yeah.
tags as key value. I mean, I often use tags as key value.
Yeah, it's key value. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that should definitely solve your problem 100%. Both this and using tags, using them in conjunction, right? So yeah, but like I said, I'll put a lot of examples in there. Yeah, I should have thought about that more. But yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. I definitely needs examples. Um, so yeah, that's like the two big things that I did over the weekend was just getting this out, as well as the Java SDK should be updated in the next week or so. It's a pretty big PR. So what I might do, just kind of like warn you, Andrea, is do 3 or 4 PRs because it can kind of be separate because it is like a full-on like code generator, like parser. Um, but very flexible. So I'm just going to warn you, but I might just do it in sections to make that at least easy to review. And I think we might want to do like a peer review session because it is a lot of like compiler theory like ASCII or not ASCII esque things. So yeah, but let me know if that works for you, Andrea, once I create the PR and then we can figure out what's the best way to review it. All right.
Sounds good.
Okay, awesome. All right. So, other than that, the semantics one, I imagine we should be able to get this merged next week, is the hope. So, I think one thing I'm going to change with the dynamic with this is when we have a PR open, we will talk about it first, have people get a chance to review it. Then the next week, it doesn't have to be the next week, but generally it'll be the next week, especially for something like semantics. We will then vote on whether or not we can approve it. If no one like disagrees with it, we'll go ahead and merge it. So I think that's a better approach, to kind of make it a little bit more clear and formal, especially like if we have long hanging PRs, it allows us to merge them a lot faster. So unless we get approval before then we can go ahead and merge it. But if not, we can always just do it in the next meeting. So the next meeting we'll put this up for vote to whether or not it goes through and gets merged. And if there's no other comments regarding the definition, we'll go ahead and merge it next week then. Sound good?
Yes.
Sounds great.
Cool. All right, awesome. And please don't let me be the only one to do the semantics. If you guys want to take a crack at it, please do, because there is a lot of subjects and a lot of predicates, right? So, it definitely would be really helpful. And I started with just like pipeline run and artifact because those are I feel like the most common ones that it doesn't require, like it doesn't deviate too much between tools, right? As opposed to things like environment, which might not exist at all, right? So yeah, that's why I started with those two, just to let you know. And yeah, but other than that, that's pretty much all I had. I'm gonna keep working on the semantics, try to get that out, get more out this week as well. So I'll have two more after as a separate PR. I won't build on top of that PR. So please take a look at that as well. So yeah, was there anything else that anyone wanted to bring up?
Yes, I have few information to share.
Okay.
So with cherry picking, I don't know, from Andreas to the branch 0.5, I was
Yeah.
able to, after updating the branch, I was able to release the Rust SDK with support for 0.5. I don't wait for 5.1, 0.5.
Mhm.
So the current SDK supports in the 0.3, 0.4, 0.5 with the same SDK version. If I remember on the note, I see you want to list some of the SDK goals, etc., to normalize. On the README of the REST SDK, I list some of the features, the test, etc. It could be an inspiration for you.
Oh, perfect.
I,
Okay.
I guess I created a ticket a long time ago, but I'm not sure. But if you, yes.
Okay. You said the README?
Yes, at the bottom of the README. Yes,
Okay.
feature. I list
Okay.
what is provided, but also as it could interest DALC, but for the support of custom events, today, by example, I didn't generate runtime compilation or validation. I just accept them as a JSON, as a raw JSON without validation. By example, it's some of the features that could be happen, but one of the idea of this list is what could be the feature of SDK and the usage of SDK.
Okay.
So
Cool.
it could be a base for you.
Mhm.
Other point, few months ago, I submit a talk for Devox France about CDVs. It was accepted. So in April, I will do a new talk on CDVs after FOSDEM and CFG MNGT Camp.
Wait, what was the conference, David?
Devox,
DevOps or Ops?
OXX,
OX.
OXX?
Oh,
OXX, a small O.
oh, small O. Interesting.
So it's one of the biggest so Devox French. So
Oh,
it's
French. Okay.
probably the biggest one of the biggest conference in France, mainly for Java community and Devox, but it's also the only Devox in French. All other Devox in Europe are in English, but this one is in French.
Nice, nice. And when is that happening?
Paris.
No, no, sorry. So Paris and then when?
April.
April. Okay.
April 22, 24.
Okay. 22, 24. All right. Awesome. I'll look up some information on that.
So I have to prepare the slides. And I will do for CDVs. I add I'm adding, I have to validate more feature like connector, support for test, etc. And I
Gotcha,
also
gotcha.
add some dashboard. I'm currently updating the documentation. It takes a bit of time. So that's all. For Devox, it was CDEvents and CDVs, the talk.
Oh, CD Viz and CD events. Like that?
Yes.
Okay,
I
perfect.
always mention both. And I guess that's all for my side.
There is one thing that we need to do too. Like we need like an actual JSON schema validator. Like there is like we have the conformance test. We can literally just have a CI job
We
that
have
just
we have it,
oh we do.
but it's part of the PR that on our review. The issue is that when it failed, it didn't raise an error on the
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's why.
so
Okay.
I fix also it was part of the PR merged by Andrea. So now
Okay.
it will block the pipeline when there is an error during the JSON validator.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right, great, great. And then, all right, so I did not see that PR come through. I might
It's
have
not
just missed it.
it's not part of the branch. This part of the fix was not cherry picked, so it's not on the 0.5 branch, but it's part of the main branch.
Okay, and then that was in GitHub Actions, I'm guessing.
Look at the commits; it should happen in the
Yeah,
commit.
sorry. It's all
Do
big
you want to?
zoom.
Sorry. Shall we cherry pick that as well then to the branch?
If you want the validation of on the branch, yes.
Okay, okay, cool, cool, cool. So we did have it. Awesome. And then validate J. Oh, so we didn't, but
Yes,
we
I rewrote it
you
in
rewrote.
JavaScript
Okay, okay, okay.
because
Thank
it
you.
was part, and the issue is because I explained in the bash script. In fact, when there is a validation, the line 78, we have the or it not fails. It counts.
That's why. Yeah, that's why.
That's
Yep.
why. But after the issue, to explain fully the issue, it's when you update a variable inside the while loop. In fact, the variable is not updated because inside a while loop, it's a new sub process that is launched. So
Oh, and this one. Yeah, yeah.
yes. So it's why the example failed was not updated outside the loop.
Gotcha, gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so this now runs it in JavaScript, which
Yes.
okay, so yeah, we should definitely cherry pick this then. Okay.
And as we are on this topic, we have a peer about other versioning, etc., where we discuss about should we use Go, JavaScript, Python for the script. With the help of AI, I can rewrite the script if you want. Just we have to agree on if it's Go,
A language.
JavaScript,
Yeah,
on
I
one
mean,
language.
I am indifferent on the language. I care more about the consistency and the tooling that's provided. And Go is good mostly because it's a single binary, but that doesn't really matter too much for CI. So I am happy to leave it as JavaScript or Python. Like I think those two are perfect candidates for something like this. So I'm not too opinionated on it.
I
Otherwise.
guess my point, and Andrea also, it's maybe using one scripting language for all the scripting and not have 3 or 4 or maybe Bash plus one language. Today we have JavaScript, Go, and Bash.
Oh, we have
And
Go? Where's Go?
yes, we have a script that use Go.
Oh, so
It's part of tools.
yeah,
I
that's the
think.
unfortunate side of open source, right? People are going to show up and write it in the language they're most comfortable with,
Yeah, yeah.
especially
Um, where's the Go? I don't see it.
Use Go inside. No, it's really a small Go. Maybe update talk or release. I don't know. It's on the tools folder.
Really, I don't see a Go file in here.
It's look at the update talk. I guess maybe. Ta-da.
It downloads this with the Go module.
Yes, but it means that on your CI you should have the Go SDK and the Go setup. That's why I say we have some Go.
Right, right. Okay, so you're just talking. Okay, okay. I don't even know what this is. Let's
It
see.
generates the TOC.
Oh, does it? Oh, okay, okay, okay. Um, yeah. Let me see how much. Another thing though, what we should not be doing though is if there's a tool that already exists, we should use it, right? We shouldn't rewrite it if it already exists. So with that said, however, what we should be doing is just pulling in the raw binary from this or if it comes with the buyer, I don't know if it does, because it doesn't have versions or OS attached to it. So yeah, unless they provide a Docker image, yeah, I I don't know if there's another tool that does this, David. So if the, another tool that does this, then yeah, let's make it JavaScript. But if this is the only tool that does this side of the TOC generation, I'd rather just keep it rather than adding more work, right? And maintaining that, right? So do you know if there's a Docker image of this, Andrea? Probably not,
It's
right?
just the table of contents. And to say in TOC, it was literally like, is that another meeting? Are we going to be doing this on Wednesdays? Yeah, wrong TOC. Okay, table of contents. Got it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
No,
but
I
yeah,
mean that might be. I just knew that tool because I used it elsewhere. But I mean, there might be other tools. I'm in
Oh,
favoring.
Andrea did it. Okay, now we see the ghost. Like, okay, got it. Got
um, okay, but yeah, if David, if you can find another tool that does the same thing, it doesn't need to be like exact, but as long as it does, gets us there like 99% of the way, then I'm okay changing it to like a JavaScript library or something of that nature. But don't spend too much time on it because like we should be solving problems that that will push CD events forward. Like I understand this is like a good like to make the code base clean, one language and whatnot, but like you know languages are so like like they're a dime a
No,
dozen.
for me, there is no urgency for this one, but it's because we have the discussion about the release,
Okay, okay.
the
Ah,
PR that
so you do
in
okay.
Python, etc. So it's what I
Gotcha,
say.
gotcha. All right. So as long as we know it's low priority, so yeah, if anyone finds a tool that's roughly it does table of contents for markdown, just like raise an issue, link in it, and then we should be able to then convert this bash script to use that. But otherwise, we can just keep it as is. But what one thing that we can do though, David, did you raise an issue on this one in particular?
No, it's a comment on the pull request about validation. The,
Gotcha.
the
Okay.
comment, let's say.
What I will do then is I will create an issue specifically for this, and I'm going to mark it as just low priority. If someone, like especially if we have like the hackathon, the October one, and someone wants to do it, that'd be perfect, right? Be very, very easy. But yeah, I'll create a GitHub issue. Create GitHub issue for potentially replacing the talk with JS. So are we okay with JavaScript though? Because I'm okay with it. Anyone have any?
My POC is going to be in JavaScript, so do it.
All right. So Denise is all for it then. What about you, Andrea?
Yeah, I mean it's the language I know the least, but I can use AI now to help me review things. So I mean I can read it. I cannot really write it, but that's fine.
Now, you can probably write it, Andrea. Like, yeah, it's like you can do anything in JavaScript. You can like attach like if a field doesn't exist, it exists now. It's like, but yeah, I get your point because like out of all the
Yeah,
languages, like JavaScript is also one that I don't use often, but I can wiggle my way through it. So I think you're in the same similar boat. Sounds like.
yeah. I wrote things in JavaScript before, but I don't have like a huge expertise on the ecosystem and the best practices and so forth. But yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Works for me then. So I'm gonna mark here then. Try to when introducing new CI tooling slash validation, please use JS. Are we okay with that?
If we go with JavaScript, does it mean that the PR in Python, I should propose a rewrote in JavaScript?
Yes. Yeah, if we're gonna go with JavaScript, we can just mark that one to be closed and close it. So but yeah, as long as we agree with that. So it sounds like we all do. So
Yeah,
from
but is
now,
this something we're trying to do all in one swing, or is this like
yeah.
we're gonna? Okay, all right.
No. This isn't all in one swing, Denise. This is just whenever new CI comes in or
Oh,
new
okay, yeah,
tests. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Okay,
And it's
cool.
because we have a peer for a new tools that is in Python that is it. It's why we are talking about this topic.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Anything else?
Yeah, data ops. I'm not sure.
Data
It's
ops.
yeah, we kick it off. And Denise was there. Thank you. That was really good to get support from you, who know this what it should be like. Looks like Andrea's still on. I did chat with Andrea. I understand that there's in CD Foundation there's some like need to broaden the scope. So I was thinking, last time when I was here to discuss about like what to do next, right? Other than working on the actual event itself, but probably the most important thing is get the right stakeholders to be participating here. So I was thinking, uh, because the Kubernetes, there's another community in related to Kubernetes. It's called DOK community, database on Kubernetes. To be honest, there's not much going on there. It's probably even quieter, much quieter than CD Foundation. The problem is the Kubernetes was not created for persistency. So, but Kubernetes itself is a very, very popular platform for AI workload. So I'm thinking to reach out to any project slash vendor that have like the data ops related events, but not necessarily, to be running database on Kubernetes. Just because as long as you run a workload on Kubernetes, it's related. So just get your opinion about that, and I guess what's next is
Well,
the
it
question.
depends, right? Because so when you're envisioning those database actions as events,
Hmm.
have you sketched that out in your mind, like that flow, so that we're approaching them saying, hey, this is what we think is actionable, or is your thought process like, hey, let's go talk to them and get their input about what they think should be there?
Yeah, I mean there are discussion about what type of events should be related to data ops, but that's the thing. There's everybody have their own opinion, right? And there's so many different kinds of workload. Yeah, it's almost impossible to get the full picture.
Well,
And
and I agree. And so I guess the point that I'm making, Victor, is
Mhm,
if we approach it with something, you want to approach it with a periodic table, right? And so
mhm,
when I came into this space and I saw the events that were there,
mhm,
we didn't have all the events we have now, but it framed the question in my mind in a way that let me begin to sort through it. What I suggest we do before we do that, or we engage in that, um, and is to, and even if you and I do this, or all of us as a group do it, you sketch out what you think the flow is, why you think that should be included, and that'll, and we'll just have that discussion with you so that when we're going, we have a kind of like a skeleton to say, hey, this is what we think is happening. Why don't you help us straighten it out? Because if you go with nothing, then you're in that space where everybody is going to have an opinion. But if you bring something, they can see the idea that you had, and then they can start to comment on that. Because the real challenge in this is the normalization and the
mhm,
brilliance to what had already been done with Emil and Andrea's concept is like they just, you just start, this is what the events are. Take it or leave it. It's coming. Get out the way, or or have something to say. And that was brilliantly done. And so I strongly recommend that we go in with some sort of, skeleton to say, hey, this is what we think. What do you guys think, to start a conversation? Because if we just go in saying, oh, why don't you guys come join us, they don't really get the grasp of what we're doing.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and just to be clear too, if you go in with nothing, you're gonna lose 99% of the people there. So you need like something, right? Like an example, because if you, especially if they don't come from a like, like an interoperability, if they're only functioning in Kubernetes itself, it might not be very clear to them like the problem that we're trying to solve either, right? So you definitely need something. You need examples, you need to know the flow, and understanding if you can give them a problem, if you can solve a problem that they're having today as well, would be really, really good. So if you can go like to the past, like maybe go through the past notes or something, and if you catch anything like in their GitHub issues that say like, oh, we can't do this because this tool does it differently, for example, right? You can pinpoint that and make an example around that specifically, right? And that will help tie it in all together. And I found that has helped me when I'm explaining CD events to people is to come at it from a problem that they have and and give them like this is how it would work with CD events, and then they're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense, right? So but yeah, so I think yeah, definitely getting that skeleton down is a necessity. But one thing I'd be curious about is what the, so from the data ops point of view, is it more that you're trying to solve interoperability, or is it more for like observability? It sounds like it's more from an observability standpoint, but I could be completely wrong. What's your take on that, Victor?
Um, yeah, that's hard to define because unlike CD events, which because you have the CI/CD framework, like the tool provider, right? So
Hmm.
interoperability is big. So, oh yeah, thank you, Andrea. The problem for the thing about data events is not there are things like changes to the data, right? That's kind of a part of the CI/CD pipeline as well. However, most of it is about the data flow and how the data is flowing around in the whole even if it's not part of the CI/CD pipeline, it's still flowing, right? Because everything we're doing is basically processing data, right?
Hmm.
So whether it's training, inferencing, capturing, storing in database, primary retention, all that really it has something related to data. So yeah, so it's not just yeah, I think it's probably more than just monitoring visibility, but it's hard to define the scope at this point. But what I'm thinking is definitely we need a skeleton for sure. Actually, I probably just to get things started, instead of people trying to guess, I actually throw in a whole bunch of you can say garbage events in there to get things started. The thing is how I think while we're working on the actual list of skeleton events, we do want to reach out to people who, number one, contribute to it. Number two, at least, acknowledge this thing, something that's going. In the past, when the I mean, the data ops event, folks try to doing outreach, don't get a lot of good response. This time I'm thinking of doing this way. I mean, see whether this makes sense. Um,
Can I
for,
can I just ask one question, Victor?
yep, yep.
Um, it So what you're describing sounds like there's both an execution flow, which is core to, an execution plane that controls everything. Like it's core to the concept of an IDP or any system that you're going to watch the flow of this process through. And that is what we're trying to do with the interoperability concept. It doesn't matter if there's no other tools doing that yet. It's still plugging it into and making that connection. And so would it be possible to, I noticed when we were doing the data ops meeting last week, there was a kind of a diagram of the flow of a system. Do you have that kind of diagram that says, hey, this is the workflow, the entire workflow that we're trying to collect?
There is actually one project. One of the member of that community has his own project. So let me see what I can find. So he actually created a diagram for his project. So I don't know if it's going to be representative of a generalized workflow or not. But this is one workflow. This one.
Okay, so
Um,
is that it?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So, oh, actually, sorry. This is actually. Let me see this one or not. No, actually, this is the wrong one. Sorry, I shared the wrong one. He created one. Yeah, he basically has his
Yeah,
own project per se that's already using the DataOps events. So um, the back to the what to answer your question. No, there's not. There are many. There's only one.
but that's
DataOps.
great.
Yeah, there's so many. I can find you many workflow
But that's
created
great.
by
That's
different people, right?
Yeah, but that's
Um,
what we need because that's what we're going to match events to, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's the process of there are many ways to do it, but making the communication of those interoperable in those many ways is what makes this fit slot in well to what we do to the point that Ben was getting to. And if we can get some of those just cycles of, I mean, even if it's just hand drawn, like you're going to go through this step, this step, this step, this step, and this step.
Hmm.
That helps one with the framing of the value proposition of CD events so that you're when we're having those conversations with like the database people and the other groups, they can visualize what it is that we're trying to do and why being able to, normalize this information to take actions against is super important because now other tools that have those same functions and fit those same processes, it's easier to figure out what those tools are and how they fit into that process. So
Yeah, yeah.
okay. And
So
so,
what I think I'm not sure you know the TOC meeting, the most recent TOC meeting for CDOps, CD Foundation. I actually watched it. So and there was discussion about broader participation, right? And there was even a talk about changing the name from a CD Foundation to something like Platform Engineering Foundation. I know there's already, I'm not sure that's, I think there's already discussion whether it's feasible or not. But this is what I'm thinking. There's so many different data ops to technically, definitely, I mean, the CD events is going to be where it's going to be start from, right? To extend CD events. However, when it comes to scope, it probably should be platform engineering scoped data ops events.
oh yeah, no, it's definitely it's not just platform engineering. Yeah, platform engineering, SDLC workflow. Like, yeah, you're absolutely right. The name of it is CD events, but the scope of it is the entire SDLC platform and even all the ancillary tools like your ticketing, and what was the other one that we did? Ticketing and
There's ticketing, there's links, there's
yeah, it's the gateway
yeah,
one. The approvals. Yeah,
yeah.
ticketing
Actually,
approval.
approval events are coming soon. I'm actually about
Yeah,
to create a PR for that. So
yeah.
yeah.
And so, but yeah,
Oh,
Victor,
I didn't mention that.
absolutely, absolutely. Um, yeah, but yeah, I think continuous delivery, changing the name. I don't have any real like, well, technically, I guess I do have a dog in that hunt, but I haven't heard that yet. But I haven't been able to make it to a TSC meeting, so I should be at the next one though. Um, uh,
I think we voted against that because like rebranding is difficult. So I don't
yeah,
think
yeah, I was
yeah.
like, wow, that would have been, what? Whoa, okay, okay.
Yeah. Exactly. I have the
I need to go to
same
TSC meeting
reaction.
now, dude.
Yeah. But Victor, one thing that it's still not clear, like I think we need to really step back and start with a very simple use case. Rather than trying to like throw in all the events, like I think we need to start very simply because the reason why is more for me. And and like if I'm confused and I've been in this space for a very long time, it's going to be very hard to sell someone that isn't knowledgeable CD events. So I need like a very simple use case that will help connect the dots on how the systems are going to, like work together because it's not really apparent to me right now.
Interesting, because it's super apparent to me. And I hear what you're saying, Ben, but I also think that if we get the workflow end to end, and it might be because I spent so much time too with Lisa, um, that and sat down with her, and that's when I literally began to see like, oh, this is a lot of the same type of orchestration steps, and that there is still these pieces that already fit together. Um, and so it does work from my mind to add it to the to the execution plane. But I respect the fact that we need to have a streamlined set of events that go through a workflow and then say, hey, this is how it connects. Is that what you're asking for?
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, I just need a little something a little bit more concrete. One, like I don't know enough about data ops like in general. And so like I saw the events, right? Like the events that you had, Victor, but like seeing like the events are one thing, but like seeing them attached to a flow will give me direction of like how the things like move throughout the life cycle. That's more of the issue that I have is like I see the events, but how are they utilized is more of my question. And I think a diagram would help me with that.
Yeah. The three link I shared, Dan
Yeah,
is
yeah.
is one member. I think Ben, this probably is a good start for place to for you. It's more concrete. Um, and in the meantime, I think we'll probably at least position it as platform engineering data ops. This way, we can reach out to the CNCF cloud native communities about whatever we created as a skeleton. And I think also we're creating a landscape. The idea is we don't want to let everybody to be on the landscape. If somebody want to be on the landscape, they need to at least provide a contact information and meeting information so we can reach out to them. This way, they will know this is serious. It's something we're working on, and even if they're a very popular project, if they don't buy into the landscape, well, they're not part of the landscape.
Okay. Yeah, I will definitely read through this. Like I see a lot of familiar like design patterns. Like I'm like, okay, this looks a lot like CD events. So I see why you're thinking that there's an intersection here because just from this, like just looking at like the graph terminology. Um, yeah, I'm wondering if okay, yeah, like I said, I'll read this and I'll see if I can connect the dot. I think once I read this, it should be very clear to me. But like I said, like when we go into that meeting, we want to be able to give them a diagram where they don't have to like read a bunch of blogs, for example,
Yeah,
right? So
exactly.
so okay, cool. So it sounds like that's the next step, Victor. If you want to go ahead and create, some diagrams to help, showcase the idea, I think will be what's needed for one, identifying the core events that are needed for data ops, and then two, understanding the flow between the systems, and then three, we're able to then send that maybe to like database on Kubernetes or other organizations to see to get their input, right? But I think starting with those diagrams is definitely the right first step.
Yeah. Whatever I posted is probably the most concrete one Dan created, and we can definitely discuss and see whether I can create something more concrete. But if I would say there's going to be a lot of them I can find online that's describe about data ops, but again there's so many. There won't be one. I can give you probably 10 or 100 probably.
Right, right. But that's the thing that you need to normalize though, right? Like if there's 100, you need to normalize the commonality between all the systems, right? And all the use cases. So
It starts with the diagram though, and like, and figure out what some are. And
Yeah.
then the more pieces you have in that, it's the workflow, not the systems in use, right? And I think that's a good thing to think about too. But guys, I need to drop. I've got another
yeah,
call.
same.
Victor, I'm gonna reach out to you to see if we can set up some time together so that you and I can kind of go over this together and
Yep.
have a real strong plan to make sure that we collect the information that we need to get this right. And then in doing that, Ben, I'm sure that what comes out of that will meet your needs.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, just let me know whatever you guys decide on and create a PR or whatever, and then we can kind of go from there.
Okay,
Yeah.
bye, folks.
Awesome. All right,
All right,
thanks.
thanks everyone. All right, bye.
Bye.
Bye.